Everyone, my name is Carolina Chirufeco. I'm the Career Center Specialist at Heritage High School, and this is Ms. Trish Garrett, an amazing counselor that we have there. So real quick, we're going to introduce ourselves, and then we're going to just a little quick exercise, and then we'll get started with our session. And I want to thank Ashley for inviting us to be here, and to you for your time that you're giving us today to be here with us. So a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Panama. I came to this country when I was about 13 years old, a long time ago. I have two children, high school senior at Stonebridge and a sophomore at Stonebridge. And then my husband is a chef. For those of you that know Great American Restaurant, he creates the dishes for like the coastal flats, the Sweetwater. So we do get spoiled a lot having a personal chef at home. But as far as Heritage, I've been there, this is my 4th year at Heritage. Absolutely love this job. My main role is to support the counseling team when it comes to working with our students helping them with their post-high school plans. I typically work with all the seniors and juniors, but we also work with freshmen and sophomores just to help them with their career exploration and any volunteer opportunities. Those are the times that we spend with them. My main part, one of the things that I love about this job is the partnership that I have with the counseling department. When you come to Heritage, we're separated. It's like this could be the counseling department and my office is across. So it's like separated, but we have a great partnership that whenever I don't know something, I reach out to the counselors, and then they also come to me for any resources that are out there for our students and our families. Again, the connection that I make with families and students is a very special one because so much has changed when we went to college. There's so many resources out there, and technology is playing a huge part in it. So we have to constantly stay up with the technology to help our students and our families. You know, working with first generation family has been a really fun experience, and even our driven students who are just, they challenge me all the time, like, okay, I want to do this, so we have to execute at that level to help them reach their goals. You know, we have a lot of students right now applying to Princeton and Harvard, and just preparing them for their interview has been a really fun experience. Again, working with our counseling department has been one of my joys of my job. And this is Ms. Trish Garrett. Tell a little about yourself.
Alrighty, I'm going to seem really boring by comparison. So two things I want to attest to. Her husband is an amazing chef. Yes, we get spoiled too at times, which is lovely. And Ms. Feckle is truly, she is one of those individuals in our department that we really and truly could not do without. We do work very closely with Career and the Career Center, and lots of our students visit the Career Center, utilize the Career Center on their journeys to whatever they're going to be doing post high school. So you know, the partnership is excellent. Again, I'm Trish Garrett. I'm one of the school counselors. This is my 11th year in school counseling. My 2nd year at Heritage. I was a counselor at Stonebridge, and I was actually Ms. Feckle's daughter's counselor. But my kiddos attend Heritage, and so when that opportunity came about for me to make a transfer, I was thrilled to do it. And it's an excellent school. It's an amazing school. Great students. Looking forward to having all of your students there if you don't already have children at Heritage. I have a section of the alphabet. We follow our students from grades 9 through 12. So we have one group of students, one part of the alpha. I have PL through SM. And they are with me from grades 9 through grade 12, which is nice because I get to know them and get to know what their needs are from year to year. So it's great that we do it that way. I am also the campus counselor, and campus is a program for students generally identified in middle school who need additional assistance with looking at post-high school plans, particularly in the college arena. Those students that are from groups that are underrepresented, first generation, for example, students. So that is my area of outside of school counseling. That's the area that I work with. What else can I say? I think that's it. Looking forward to having your students at Heritage. Looking forward to, if any of you are PL through SM parents, looking forward to working with you as well. So, and again, thank you for having us this morning.
So we're going to do a little exercise. Again, when it comes to having what to be aware and how to plan for high school once your kids get to high school, and how to prepare for their post-high school plan. So we're gonna pass that, just a little question just for you to get pass on for each parent. We have a small group today, which is fine. What I just want you to do real quick for a minute and a half, just if you can just find another parent, like kind of find your student. This is based on your student, this little bingo. Answer the questions based on your student and see if we can find another parent that has a similar information on that little page of the bingo. So just take about a minute to answer any of those questions, see if we can find your student.
Absolutely.
And as soon as you have somebody, just introduce yourself to another parent and we can go from there.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you.
Just a little quick exercise here. Okay, so if you're done, just go stand up and just introduce yourself to another parent, and then see how you do. Hi.
So we just need to see
Yeah, just
which
find
one's
another.
our
Yeah, and which one
child.
matches. Yeah, match another parent. See if we can meet another parent.
One's a fifth grader in Albert. My daughter's a
See,
There is no bingo on here.
No, but you have to meet other parents. Maybe yes, you'll meet another parent. So introduce yourself to another parent like they are over here. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Dice que hablan español.
That's right, you're, okay, yeah, you guys can send out a text over the weekend, right? For the, yeah, you guys send a Red Rocks with the kickoff thing about the, yeah, that there's some kind of deal with, yeah. No, it's just funny you said that here. Like,
Hi, how are you? And you come here to gentlemen back there, everything. See how you guys do. Does anybody have bingo?
Yes, what you're
That's funny.
doing.
Yeah, so they're saying that,
That's from the coach, maybe Haley.
maybe.
She likes to do that.
All right.
I'm getting off on about
Yeah,
five
anyway,
tangents.
that's, but yeah, and then I've got my older son, he's out here.
What do you have going?
Who?
Next year?
No, he's at seventh grade. I don't really, he hasn't really engaged in the whole,
You know, what to do.
Did anybody get
But I did one for the eighth grade.
Just get to discuss, yeah.
They're just soft,
Yeah, he's
sophomore.
not.
you almost
My
had
wife
it.
is
Yeah.
through the-
Yeah.
I think I'm
No,
a-
My eyes were playing when I
You're
had 10
close.
You did,
The tenth grade board.
Boy,
It doesn't feel like it.
Next.
Which one are you ready to just get to see? Oh, you're ready. You're gonna be with us.
You saw my name a lot in your eighth grade.
And she's in, eighth grade. Who's
her,
just the one?
I guess as excited as you can be. It's
Okay.
Actually, this
They wouldn't be.
yes,
In the air?
something different, yes.
Oh, is that how they do
They,
it?
they started, I
For
haven't
the
done
most
one.
part,
Yeah,
we
so
purposely.
They both started in school.
All right, does anybody have bingo? Does anybody get bingo?
Yeah, we spoke about it.
Okay, sorry.
I hate to interrupt the conversation. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Oh.
Just wondering if anybody,
Okay.
Are there any connection with any student parents having an eighth graders or seventh graders together?
Yes, we made a connection.
Good, there you go, that's one
so
connection.
how many eighth grade parents do we have? I'm curious. Oh, several. Okay, very good.
How many eighth grade
Here
parents?
is the start.
There are four.
There are four, that's good. Let's see. Have any of you visited a college campus in the last year with an older sibling maybe? No? Okay. Do you have any eighth graders or seventh graders?
I have both.
Great on the road.
Okay,
It's
nice,
like if you
sir.
I have
have
a seventh grade.
Oh, okay, that's awesome. Great.
Like in a
Okay,
row,
good.
okay.
In a row.
All right. Well, good. It was just a little get to meet somebody else here today. So here's our agenda. We're gonna introduce you our team at Heritage. We're gonna talk about what happens in the College and Career Center. We're gonna talk about Naviance, which is one of the platforms that we use. I'm not sure how much middle schoolers use. I know when my kids were in middle school at Trail Sound, we didn't use it that often. Ms. Kara is gonna talk about her elective and some career clusters. I will discuss some job and volunteer opportunities, particularly for our eighth graders who are coming into high school. There's one of the things that we focus with our students is the study hall support. And I'll definitely talk about the academies a lot, and that's a big opportunities for our eighth graders, ninth graders, and 10th graders. And then obviously how to get involved when they get to Heritage High School. All right, so So here's our team. Trish, can you introduce our team?
Sure. So this is our school counseling team.
Bless you.
Ms. Eichels, bless you, is our director of school counseling. And some of you may have already, if you've had any connection with Heritage, you've probably met Ms. Eichels, or if you've been to any of the parent information sessions for your rising freshmen, then you would have met her. Ms. Rose is one of our school counselors. She has the beginning of the alphabet, A through CAP. Coach Bevilacqua is CAR through FA. He's brand new to us this year. He came from the western end of the county. He's also a football coach, so we call him Coach. Mr. Wareham is FE through H. Whoops, sorry. Ms. Boyce is L through MARL. Mr. Jones is MARM through PI. Mrs. Garrett, and then Mr. Madden is at the end of the alphabet, SN through Z. It's a great group of counselors with, you know, a range of years of experiences and grade levels, and you know, wherever your student falls within this alpha, I think you're going to be very, very, very happy with whomever is your school counselor. Then we have our support staff, but really they are truly our VIPs. Our registrar is Mrs. Brown. Our school counseling admin assistant is Ms. Scott. And then Ms. McLean is our former parent liaison, but she is now our interpreter, and at times we do pull her in for parent liaison things too. So all of whom are looking forward to working with all of you when you get to Heritage.
So what happens in the College and Career Center? Ms. Garrett, can you pass one of these around to each of the
Sure.
parents? So when, one of the things that I particularly work with our students, like I said earlier, is particularly spend time with our seniors and juniors, but I do go out of my way to meet our sophomores and our freshmen. So if you just stick to the right side when you get this form from Ms. Garrett, again, for the College and Career, we try to gear our students to a 2-year or 4-year, depending on what they and their family have decided. A lot of them already come say, my mom and I, my parents and I spoke, we know what we're doing. So then, but we have the group of students who just have no idea. So this is why our role is to guide them. And we try to expose them to all the different opportunities that they have, starting with the 2-year, the 4-year. What are the schools in Virginia? What are the schools? What are the Ivy League schools? What are the schools? So again, the way we tell them is they're gonna apply for college is think about it as what are some reach schools, unique school, and your safety school. So that's when we start thinking, that's when they start thinking, so what are some of the schools that I can get in? What are some of the schools that can challenge me? And then NOVA is our 2-year, which is right here in Sterling. They come out and talk to our students. The college rep visits, last year we had about 84 colleges attended Heritage. They come in from Penn State. We had, Penn State was our big one. Virginia Tech, we had about 95 students went to the Virginia Tech. And it's usually our juniors and seniors, but we do, our school opens it to all the grades. If we have a 9th grader that wants to learn about Virginia Tech, we don't say no to that. I know some schools don't allow that because they think it's too young, but I like to expose them as soon as possible because the more information they get at a younger age, the better, and they can take it back to their parents. And again, UVA was our biggest role. They had 65, but so then we have some of the smaller schools, private school, Bridgewater, they'll have like 10. You know, George Washington will have about 25. George Mason's it's starting to be one of our biggest ones. We had about 45 in there, and it's a really good session with our George Mason rep. So that's the beauty of my job here. Like I have those connections with those college reps. So when a parent calls me and says, "Hey, how do I ask this question?" If I don't know the answer, I'll give you the information to our rep, and they do a really nice job getting back to our parents and our students. The Common App, you'll learn if you don't have a student already in college. So it's a very, I don't know, how would you say that, Ms. Gary? The Common App can be very cumbersome for our students. You think it's like technology that make it easy, but it's really tough. I've had students that it's been very challenging for them. So our role as counselors and myself in the Career Center is just I would take a deep breath and would walk them through the process because that's what we're there to do. When it comes to scholarship and benefits, again, there's so much money out there. People think, well, my parents make a lot of money, I shouldn't apply for scholarship. That's not true. We've had students whose parents are very wealthy, and they don't ask for the FAFSA, which is their financial information. They get their scholarship based on their essay, on how well they write, based on their GPA. So we have students that are going to UVA right now, and I remember last year we had a student who, she came to me, both her parents are, you know, working. She said, I don't want to put that burden on my parents. What can I do to get scholarships? So we called the VCU rep, and they met, and now she's at VCU on a full ride, just by writing. She applied to their 4th presidential scholarship, and it was a decent GPA, and she's there on a full ride right now. So we just have to, you know, get that information out for them. So their parents were very pleased with the work that she did. And on the left side, the opportunities, again, military. We have to have your permission at the beginning of the year. You sign a form if you want the military to talk to your kids. Again, they're not pushy. When they come to our school, they sit outside the cafeteria. They're not going around like, hey, you want to join the Marines? Hey, you want to work the Army? They're not doing any of that. The students have to come to them where they're sitting outside the cafeteria. Our big one is the Air Force. We have a rep coming next week. She just graduated at Virginia Tech for the ROTC, and now she's enlisted in the Air Force. So she's going to talk about both the Army ROTC at Virginia Tech, and then what she's doing to enlist. So those are the kind of things, the resources that we allow our students and our parents to have. The FAFSA, again, that's the financial form that the parents fill out for their students to see how much money the government can pay for their college. We have a lot of resources to share with their parents with the SAT, ACT. You know, it's back and forth every year. With COVID, they're like, oh, now we're test optional. Be careful when you hear test optional, because when it comes to scholarship, they want to see SAT scores. You know, I'll give you an example. Bridgewater, our student, it's like, I think it's, I forgot the $52,000 to go to Bridgewater. But if our student had a 4.0, their minimum to get a scholarship is a 3.9. So because of that, she had a 4.0. They were able to take off $38,000 just because of her GPA. So even though it's a private college, but they wanted the SAT scores. So she had to take the SAT scores in order to get that scholarship. So just be careful with that. But some are very adamant. Some are very like, nope, we're test optional. If we don't want to see your SAT scores, then that's clear now. That's why it's important with their student, when the rep comes into the Heritage, that your students come to that session, because they can ask those questions for one-on-one. Our Virginia Tech is amazing. He's a new rep. And UVA, they're all wonderful reps. They'll answer any questions our students have, and that's what they're there to do. We work with students who go to trade schools, study abroad. Last year, our class went to one set of students at Germany, one's at Mexico, one's at Puerto Rico, and the other one is in Prague. So those are the students that went to those different countries to study. Job posting is the fun thing that, again, when it comes to helping our student resume writing, you know, interviewing skills. We have professionals that come in and work with our students to volunteer their time to walk them how to get ready for a job interview. So if you can do one-on-one, you say, Ms. Feckle, my daughter's applying for a job, I'll get you that rep in there. Oh, myself and the counselor can also help with that. You know, my previous job, I used to hire executives and managers for restaurant industry, so I know how to navigate those resume questions. Volunteer, again, for those that have 8th graders and 7th graders when they come to high school, that's the time for them to get volunteer hours. A lot of the universities look for that in their application. You know, how much volunteers are they putting themselves, how are they balancing their school with volunteer hours. Okay. Any questions there? You can feel free to ask any time questions. All right. Naviance, this is a platform that we use to support our students. So a lot of it is, you know, how do they research college? A super match college search. So this is, if a student comes to us and, well, this is what I want a private school, I want it in the city, and all these specific questions, there's super match will help them with that information to match that college to that student. Again, this is where they sign up for the college rep. This is how I know to communicate to our college rep. Like, this is how many students we're gonna have registered for your session. Let's prepare for that. We'll sign up for military recruiters. Like I said, we have about 10 students coming to the Air Force tomorrow on Wednesday. And then you have a compared GPA and test scores to pass Heritage students. This is called the scattergram. I wish I have a picture of it. But what it does is, based on your current GPA, you can see how you compare with the students at Heritage. It'll tell you, like, you meet the average GPA to get into Virginia Tech, and it has all these grid checks in reds and blue. what's the, so it's the reds are denied, the green are, they got in, I forgot what the wait lists are, what color it is. But it gives them a gauge on how they compare with the students at Heritage. So that's good. So a lot of students love seeing that scattergram. You want to say anything about the scattergram, Ms. Garrett? Anything about the scattergram that you want to share?
No, except that it's just a really good way, it's a great visual for students to look at whether or not they have an opportunity or have a chance to get into the schools that they're looking at. And students have a lot of fun with it. So if you have a chance to log into Naviance and you have a chance to play around with it, it's not just, just for researching colleges, but just looking at careers in general. I think Ms. Feckel's gonna talk about doing the career interest inventory, but it's just, a lot of students just, certainly at this age, they're very seldom are they gonna know exactly what it is they wanna do for the rest of their lives, right? We've got high school seniors that are graduating not knowing what they want to major in, and it's perfectly okay. I mean, at least in my opinion, it's perfectly okay. But it's just, this is a great tool for helping them to pair up their interests with potential career pathways and college majors. And so, it just, Naviance is great for a lot of different things.
And this is where we base all of our scholarships. Right now, our seniors are in the process of applying for scholarships. We have about 200 scholarships just from the LCPS. And then there's other scholarships that I also add in there for our students. So, but just to let you know, some of you have 7th and 8th graders. This has been glitching this year, so I think their LCPS is looking for a new, I'm not sure, Ms.
They are, they picked one, they just have to go through the final vetting.
Oh, okay, so see, yeah, so we've had a lot of glitches, but it's been a great tool, but it also has been a little bit of a headache. But it's been great for our students, especially with our freshmen and our sophomores. This is where we spend time with the career interest, just like Ms. Garrett said, just to expose them to what's out there for them. They ask us, they answer a series of questions, and then we guide them through there. All right, this is fun chart here. Ms. Garrett will talk about the career clusters and pathways that we spend time with our students. I think you have some in there if you want to, so it's gonna be.
So hopefully everybody,
No, I don't have
sorry.
it.
Oh, you
There's
have
some in
color
color, I
cards?
forgot, there's some different in color.
Yeah, this is just a great chart that helps you to look and will help your student to look at and identify different career paths and clusters and, again, as I said earlier, it's not typical for students at this age, and even for many of our students in the high school level to know exactly what they want to do when they, to be able to forecast 5-10 years exactly what they want to do. Oftentimes they have an idea of which direction they'd like to go in, but that's part of what we're hoping they're exploring and identifying as they move through high school. And again, they're getting some feedback and some assistance from us, and certainly a great deal of help from Ms. Feckel. But the career clusters and pathways is a great way for them to identify different areas. If they're interested in business management or administration, they can look at what falls into that category. If they're looking at education and training, again, they can look at what falls into that. And it helps them to hone in on which areas they might want to explore in terms of college majors. So, and quite frankly, there are a number of colleges that really don't want students to identify a major until they've been there for a while. You might find your student going to a school that won't require them to declare a major until they've been there for a semester or so. And again, this is an opportunity, that gives them an opportunity to explore some things even within the college community and on those college campuses. So there are 17 career clusters and pathways. And actually this site is available here. I think if they go here,
It's on our website and also on this LCPS site, and then you can click on each one and
Yes.
it'll walk you through more information. in there.
Exactly. So that's what I was going to say is if you go to this website and you can access it through the Heritage website, and you want it, maybe you or your student has identified a couple of areas that they're interested in, you can actually drill down into each of these subject areas by clicking on the highlighted areas, and it'll give you more information. It'll talk about the training that's required or the training that's recommended for that particular career cluster and pathway. We meet with our students every single year, and actually we're meeting with students right now. This is the time of year that we meet with students to talk about their classes for the following year, and to help those students, again, to talk about and look at and explore the areas that they might want to pursue in college and beyond. And there is a requirement, even within the state of Virginia, that we have our 10th grade students identify, at least right now, an area of interest in terms of their career cluster and pathways. So just so you know that we try to spend time with your students and exploring their areas of interest, getting their feedback, and just helping them to identify some areas that they might want to look at given their strengths and their interests. And I know that you all as parents are doing, probably doing the same thing. So just so you know that we are looking at this and we're trying to help them to come up with some action items.
And then this is a typical freshman. If you have an 8th grader coming in, I'm sure you guys have already met with your counselors, and our counselors did come here, was it in the fall?
A couple of weeks ago, we were here, yes.
And then Ms.
Yeah.
Karen can talk about what a typical schedule will look like.
So this is a typical freshman schedule, and quite honestly, it's not radically different from the schedules that your students are following now. Students are taking core classes, they're taking, for the most part, many students are taking a language and they're taking electives. So the typical freshman schedule is that students are going to take English 9, either at the academic or at the honors level. And that those levels, as far as I know, have already been identified by the middle school teachers. They've already been pre-populated by the staff here. If you have any questions with regard to the level that was recommended for your student, I would recommend that you reach out to that student's counselor and reach out to the teacher or the current teacher. But anyhow, English, academic or honors. Students will take a math class freshman year. Algebra 1 is the introductory level class for, that's a basic math class. So if your student hasn't had Algebra 1 in middle school, then students will have Algebra 1 in high school. Because we are becoming an IB school, an International Baccalaureate school, some of our course titles are changing and morphing, and even the order in which we offer things are changing just a little bit. Your 9th grade students will not see a radical change, but math is one of those areas that has changed a little bit, in that Algebra 1 is no longer just going to be Algebra 1, it'll be Algebra 1/geometry. And then we're going to offer geometry. We're going to offer a class called functions, which is like an extension of Algebra 1. It's like Algebra 1.5. It's in between Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. We've always offered that class. It's called FADA, F-A-D-A, but it's functions. Algebra 2 might be a class that your student might be taking, especially if your student is taking geometry this year, or Algebra 2 with trig. So your math selection, the student's math selection next year will really be based solely on what that student is taking this year, right? So if they're in geometry this year, they're going to go to Algebra 2, or Algebra 2 trig. If they're taking Algebra 1 this year, then they're probably going to take geometry, or maybe even FADA next year. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. I feel like that was all over the place with math. Anybody have any questions about that? Okay. Students are also going to take a science class next year. We will no longer be offering earth science. So students will go right into biology, either academic or honors, for next year. Students will be taking a history or social science class, and that'll be 1500 to present, or World History 2, which World History 2 SP Honors. This is an honors designation. It's a little bit different from what, if you have older children, it's a little bit different from what they would have had available to them for history or social science. But it's either going to be 1500 to present, or it'll be World History Honors. Every 9th grader is going to be taking health and PE, and again, that's been preloaded. We anticipate that most students are going to come into 9th grade taking a world language. With few exceptions, most students do. There are some students that don't take a world language for various reasons, but the vast majority of our freshman students take a world language. The world language options are here. We've got American Sign Language, French, German, Latin, Russian, Spanish, and then Spanish for fluent speakers. Again, some of your 8th graders might be taking the first year of a language, or even the second year of a language this year, generally the first year in 8th grade. So if they're doing well in that language, they would just simply continue with whatever that language is into high school. Certainly if they'd like to switch languages, that's an option as well. As you all probably know, in order for students to earn an advanced studies diploma, they must have 3 years of one language or 2 years of 2 separate languages. So that's 3 years of German, for example, or maybe 2 years of German and 2 years of French. So you'll want to think about that as they're thinking about which languages they're going to want to proceed with. Okay? But again, these are the options. And then students get to pick an elective. And for most students, this is really probably the most fun they have with the whole scheduling process, because they get to pick something that they really, really have an interest in. And so we have a number of election options available. In the English department, these are the electives: mythology, public speaking, creative writing. Most of our freshman students don't want to do public speaking, but you know, it's a great class. We try to encourage them, but you know, we don't have a lot of takers in the 9th grade. And then we have journalism. Journalism is the prerequisite for either newspaper journalism, which is where students get to work on the school newspaper, or photojournalism, which is where students get to work on the yearbook. So, for the most part, students are required to take journalism before they can take these other 2 electives, but there are occasions where students have not had the prerequisite and they'll be able to go into either newspaper or photo. So generally, these 2 classes would not be listed under freshman electives, but there are those outlying instances where students can jump right into the other, so we have them up here. But journalism is a great prerequisite. You know, obviously students are going to be focusing on writing and things of that nature, but it's a great class even for students that aren't interested in newspaper or yearbook. Under Family and Consumer Science, we have Intro to Early Childhood Education for students that have an interest in maybe working with young people, you know, much younger than they are, or students that want to work in our preschool. I don't know if all of you are aware, but we have a preschool in the building at Heritage, as do many of the high schools within Loudoun County Public Schools. And in the preschool, we have 2 sessions. We have a morning session and the afternoon session. It's a wonderful opportunity for our students who are interested in the field of early childhood education to get some hands-on practical experience in working with the little ones. So this is a great class for that. And then this is one of our more popular electives, Gourmet Foods. That is available to our freshman students. They get to learn about food and nutrition, and they get to cook and they get to eat, which is, you know, probably the most exciting part of that class.
We're always getting the extra leftovers too.
Yes, yes, we
The
do.
other day they cook chili, so we have all this chili to eat, different types of chili.
Yeah, we do get to we get to sample some of their things, and sometimes they'll have competitions like what is it? What's the name?
Christmas cooking.
Well, what is it when they compete? What's the show?
Oh,
where they,
Bake Off?
yes,
take out, like,
yes,
Chef
something
kind
like
of thing?
yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes, like that. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank because I watch those shows all the time. Okay, and then under Business and Marketing, Intro to Business and Marketing, again, a very popular elective for our freshman students, especially for those students who think they want to eventually pursue a major in business or marketing or even work in that field. For Business and Information Technology, we've got a couple of electives: Computer Information Systems, which is where they focus on the whole Microsoft Office suite, Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all very useful things. And then Intro to Cybersecurity, which is a great elective as well. And either of these are initial electives for students to be able to go on and complete other sequential electives in those same fields. For example, Intro to Business and Marketing is all of these, I should say. Intro to Business and Marketing is a prerequisite for all of the other business and marketing classes. It's the same for Gourmet Foods, CIS, Cybersecurity. They're all base level classes, but they are prerequisites for a lot of other electives. So your students would be able to build upon whatever they start in 9th grade. Under Technology and Engineering, we have Materials and Processes, which is like what we used to call shop classes. There's Technical Drawing and Design, where they're doing a lot of tech drawing and design on the computer using CAD. There's an Intro to Engineering and Design class that we're super excited about. It's been offered for a few years. And then Robotic Design, which is available to the students here at Harper, so you may be familiar with that one. And then under Fine Arts, under Theater and Performing Arts, we have Technical Theater for those students that want to work behind the scenes. Maybe they're interested in working within the drama department, but they don't necessarily want to be on stage. they can do the behind the scenes, building the sets, lighting, costumes. This is a great elective. There's theater arts for students that do want to be out front and center, right? And then we have a host of electives under band, a host of electives under choir. For students that are interested in fine arts, they can take Art 1. Art 1 is a prerequisite for any of the other art classes. So if your student eventually wants to take sculpting or anything like that, they have to have Art 1 first. And then under math, we have computer math, intro to computer science. Just note that Algebra 2 is a prerequisite or co-requisite for the computer math class. So if your student has had Algebra 2, they're eligible to go into this, or if they're going to be taking Algebra 2 next year, and they really love math and they want to take something like this, which is basically an introduction to programming class, then they would be able to do that. All right, and there's just a little note here that fine arts electives requiring audition will be completed within the next 2 weeks. So if your student is auditioning for maybe a choir or a choral group, then those auditions will be happening very soon. All right, so I talked about electives, and then your students will also have what is equivalent to resource here in the middle school. They're going to have a study hall. That study hall has also been preloaded. Study hall at the high school level is treated like any other, in terms of the scheduling, like any other class. Students are in that block for 90 minutes. So, you know, they'll have that time hopefully and they'll be able to utilize that time productively to get homework done. I know for many students it's a time for socializing, but we are encouraging them to utilize the time to actually get their homework completed. And then we have Pride Time, 20 minutes every Wednesday and Thursday. And that is equivalent to,
What do they do in middle school?
they do something, Ms. Harper, what is equivalent to? It's advisory, yes. It's the very same thing, it's advisory. And so we utilize that time, much like they do in the middle school, to present information, to do lessons and things of that nature. But it's every Wednesday and Thursday right after first, at least this year, it's right after first block. That might change a little bit in the future, but it's right after the first block class ends. So that is pretty much a sample freshman schedule. We work with, you know, right now we're working very closely with middle school counselors to make sure that all of this information is complete. We are going to be sending home the course request to parents in May, so you'll have a chance to look at what has been selected. If you haven't already done that, selected for your student, you can go into Parent View now and look at what your students' course selections are for next year. If you have any interest in making changes to electives, you have that opportunity to do that. I don't know if a deadline has been given.
Friday.
Oh, it's closed? I'm sorry.
The counselors can change it.
Okay, alrighty. See, glad you're here, Ms. Harper. I would have been saying the wrong thing. But yeah, so counselors can change. So if your student has picked an elective, for example, that, you know, you've decided, or he or she has decided that they're no longer interested in, just reach out to the counselor and they can make that update. Any questions? All right.
One of the ways that the Career Center supports some of these electives, for example, the information technology class, I went into the cybersecurity class with Ms. Hale and Ms. Rudd, and NOVA does a great program, summer program, we're hiring, where they take 16-year-olds and up, so anybody that's 16, there's 2 pages for each parent. So they're free programs that you can take for the summer with your son or daughter can take. And these are great programs. One of our students did it, and they actually said within that week process that they took that summer program, the president from Facebook came in, the president from Amazon came in, and they can start networking at that moment. So these are programs that are free for our students, and we're actually doing a field trip to the cybersecurity, computer science, information technology at NOVA on April 28th. We're taking seniors, juniors, and sophomores so they can explore those options for them if that's something that they want to interest in. There's also an internship for our seniors and juniors if they want to make $1,000 just to support a program, whether it's robotics or anything with technology. They can get paid for that week for $1,000. They get paid $1,000 to do those programs. So, as an example of how we support the classes and the teachers out of the Career Center. All right, so another area that we help in the Career Center is the job and volunteer opportunities. Obviously, when you're freshmen, when your kids come to high school, they're not old enough to work, or they just don't know what to do, but at the age of 14, they can work with the parents' permission and what we call the state permission. So, but they have to start building hard skills and soft skills. So one of the things that they struggle when they create a resume, when they come into the Career Center, they don't know where to begin. So we guide them on how to do both, how to come up with hard skills and soft skills. In our website, you can find lots of volunteer opportunities. Typically, this is what I work with our ninth graders to go in our website, and you can see there's a whole page that says volunteer opportunities. And then you go in here, there's some current ones right now, and like this is a big one right now, the Women Giving Back. They're getting ready for prom, so they need volunteers to help with the dresses for the ladies and the suits for the boys. These are all, they're always looking for any ninth graders and up. So there's a whole list in there for you and your students to look at for different volunteer opportunities. Another thing that I also work with our students is job opportunities. Still in our website, it's called Help Wanted. So again, if you're 14 and 15 years old, you must have a work permit. And all the information is here for mom and dads, because there's a link to apply, they'll create an account, and they'll give them a number, and that's the number that we'll give to Old Navy. And Old Navy will then send it to the state, and they can only work 3 to 4 hours. Restaurants are really good with this, and outlets is very good with our students. And then there's also Job Summer and internships that we have information in there for you as parents. And the town of Leesburg does a lot of good stuff for our students to help them get the work experience. So those are 2 things that you can find in our website. When you go in there, you can do College and Career Center, and then you'll see a whole bunch of information in there for you. So it's hard to navigate, but again, we got our students on how to do that. So let's see.
Can I jump in real quick
Yeah.
too, Ms. Feckle? I don't know if you
Okay.
may have already mentioned this, but Ms. Feckle does a newsletter every Friday that is phenomenal. And all of this.
At the end, I'll show you.
Pardon?
At the end, I'll show you a sample of it. But go ahead, you can talk
Okay,
about it.
well, I just wanted to say that all of this information is in there. So
Yeah.
when I was sitting down with my now 11th grader looking for a job, I went straight to her newsletter because I knew that there was gonna be information, and she has it by age. She has it broken down by age group as well. So it just makes it so easy to find either employment or volunteer opportunities. So just wanted to plug that.
Thank you. And again, volunteer was really good that we always get sponsored, like, do you have any ninth graders that want to volunteer? We always work with them to guide over there. All right, oops. All right, now, work study hall support is something that the Career Center and the council work very closely with our students. So Ms. Gary can talk about how work study works for the math and the English.
Yes. So, we find that we have students that need some additional help in study hall, additional academic support in study hall. And so we try to structure our study halls. We have general study halls that meet either in the cafeteria or in classrooms that are not supported. And then we also have study halls that are supported. And that support would either be through math. Well, actually, the study hall supports that we have in place this year are for all of the core classes. So if your student needs help in math, for example, then we might place that student in a math supported study hall, as opposed to having math labs or English labs or anything that we've had in the past. If you've had older students, then you may have, been exposed to those resources. But what we've done this year, which is a little bit different, is that we have created study halls that offer academic support in each of the core areas. So again, if your student needs help in math, that student would be placed in the math study hall with a math teacher that can then help your student. The same would be for social science or English or science. We find that math and English, however, tend to be those areas of need for many students. So, again, we try to structure it, we try to make the focus on the academic work that they're completing. Those study hall teachers work very closely with the core teachers that those students have to make sure that they know what that student should be working on, to try to facilitate getting the work done and making sure that students have access to additional help and resources.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I just got this from a parent.
Yeah.
Study halls are required, right? It's an LCPS.
Absolutely,
Okay.
until they become seniors, every student has to have a study hall.
Okay,
Yes.
and then if they're going to the academies, do they still have room for a study hall?
They generally do not.
Okay.
Unless they bump a class off of their schedules to create study hall space. Every now and then, a student will do that, but generally, if your student is attending the Academies of Loudon, they're taking their 4 core classes with us in Heritage, English, Math, Science, and Social, and then their ACL on the opposite day. So generally, they do not have room in their schedule for a study hall.
And speaking of academies, the Loudon, thank you, Ms. Harper, for bringing that up. So this is what the Academies Loudon looks like if you've never been. There's a beautiful building. Who besides Ms. Leon's mom, anybody else knows about the Academy? No? Okay, great. So I'm just gonna show a quick short video about what the Academy is. Let's see. We won't see the whole thing.
For the better part of a decade, Loudoun County Public Schools has sought a state-of-the-art STEM facility to increase opportunities for STEM education for LCPS students. The Academies of Loudoun is a school community that merges the Academy of Engineering and Technology, the Academy of Science, and Monroe Advanced Technical Academy, and is the result of a vision of educators, business partners, and community leaders. Located on 119 scenic acres near Leesburg, Virginia, the Academies of Loudoun allow students to pursue their academic passions while attending their home high school on alternating days. At approximately 315,000 square feet, it is the largest high school building the school division has ever constructed. Beyond its size, every square foot of the building enhances students' learning through advanced technology and innovative features. The Academy's 4 guiding words, explore, research, collaborate, innovate, are written on the walls and into every facet of the curriculum. In opening the Academies of Loudoun, Loudoun County Public Schools has moved learning beyond the classroom, using innovative techniques and approaches not previously seen in traditional facilities.
The Academies of Loudoun Makerspace has just about anything that you possibly dream of. This is top-notch compared to even some things that I've seen at universities. Technology supports the curriculum. The tools in the Makerspace help students create the things that they imagine.
The Academy of Engineering and Technology, or AET, is a 4-year program, although students have the option to opt out after their first 2-year commitment. The foundation of AET is to provide advanced academic STEM opportunities for students to engage in the study of engineering, entrepreneurship, and information technology. The AET program provides an immersion in STEM curriculum that challenges students to think critically, innovate, research, design, and invent to solve real-world contextual problems.
We use a lean business model canvas, and the students ideate a concept to solve a problem from the beginning to prototype pitching to final pitch. So it really is a reality-based process, and they're doing it. They're not just writing about it, they are doing it because they're out there getting the data.
My personal favorite thing about the Academy of Loudoun is the integration between our 3 subjects that we have. So, for example, last year I took physics, computer science, and math, and all 3 of my teachers worked together to integrate the 3 subjects and make projects based on the 3 subjects. And another thing is that being around passionate people here at the Academies of Loudoun makes you a more passionate person yourself.
The Academy of Science, or AOS, strives to provide students the opportunity to deeply engage in mathematics, science, and research, and to promote creativity and innovation through problem solving and collaboration. Students at the AOS will acquire skills to ask sophisticated scientific questions and conduct research and experimentation to explore the interconnections between the sciences, math, and the humanities, to read, write, and communicate at a level that is required of university students, and to develop perspectives to assess the impact of scientific advancements on society.
The experience of inquiry-based learning, project-based learning, being able to do a lot of things hands-on, faculty that really care about you, that know you, it's kind of a dream come true for any student, I think.
I think the ultimate reward is being able to see connections in the world that you wouldn't have discovered otherwise. Being able to learn so much more in depth about biology, about chemistry, about math, about physics, and it's a different learning experience than you would get at home school.
Monroe Advanced Technical Academy, or MATA, builds on a 40-year Loudon tradition of excellence in career and technical education. The MATA program strives to provide significant and relevant learning in career and technical education, CTE, which allows students to explore and innovate while preparing for 21st century college and careers. There are 25 college and career CTE pathways available.
MATA is totally more than just the skills that we learn. We learn how to be proper leaders in our industry. We learn how to work together as teams. It's a lot of professional development that you wouldn't get at a regular school. It's not just learning how to do graphic design. It's all about learning how to be a better leader, how to be a better person and citizen and student.
MATA is a Virginia Governor's Career and Technical STEM Academy and is also the home of the Claude Moore Health Scholars Program, designed to supply future employees for some of America's fastest growing medical fields.
For many of the students, the advantage is this is almost a pre-med program for them. So their hands-on experience here allows them then to shadow in the clinic. They have a better understanding of what technologists are actually performing. And it actually puts them more at ease with an adult, which is something they have not to this point worked with.
While the Academies of Loudon provides unique curriculum to its students, it also subscribes to the theory that deeper authentic learning comes from intentional collisions. The Academy's architecture allows students to collaborate informally across programs to tackle projects with real-world impact. Common areas where students can meet and explore learning are spread throughout the building. The One Lunch model is informal, and students are encouraged to mix with their peers outside their areas of specialized study to explore areas of common interest. Clubs and activities are also offered at this time. The Academies of Loudon incorporates the best in innovative curricular design, inquiry-based instruction, state-of-the-art technology, and a spirit of community. It is devoted to deep, impactful learning that will move its students to become productive contributors to the world.
So again, that's one of the things that we work with our students this past year, actually last week. It was very intense. We were trying to do the last minute for them to apply. I think for me, this is my 4th year at Heritage. This is the most, this has been the year that we've gotten a lot of applicants to the Academy. First year at the Academy, we would get calls from the Academy saying, hey, Ms. Speckle, does anybody want to do construction? Does anyone want to do culinary arts? But it's become so popular now, it's very competitive to get in there. So I've given you all the details in here for your son and daughter. If you're interested in the Academy, it's a great program. I mean, Ms. Eric can speak with her from her son's perspective. My daughter did the veterinarian science, and she absolutely loves it. She always knew she wants to be a veterinarian, and this class at the Academy really reinforced that. And then I also had other students that I hated that class. I know I don't want to be a veterinarian now. So that's good that we saved her parents' money to start to go to Virginia Tech. And that's what she was set to go to Virginia Tech to study veterinarian. She's like, I definitely don't want to do this field anymore. So it's a good connection for them to have. Yours did was the video?
Yes, so TV production and movie making is a program that my son is. He's an 11th grader. And I just wanted to mention, so, just to sort of piggyback on what Ms. Becker was saying. It's an excellent, excellent opportunity. Obviously, your students can stay at Heritage and take their electives at Heritage. We have phenomenal classes within our building as well. But one of the benefits to going to or applying to the Academies of Loudon is that it does give them an opportunity to be outside of our building every other day. It just gives them a completely different experience. And they're able to access courses that we don't offer in the building, right? I wanted to mention that the vast majority of the programs offered through the Academies of Loudon, with the exception of AOS and AET that students apply to from middle school, the vast majority of the electives are not available to your students until they become 11th graders. There's only one program that they can do in the 10th grade, and that's the Intro to Health and Medical Sciences. Everything else they would be applying to to get into as 11th graders. So their schedule at Heritage would be, you know, a pretty standard schedule for grades 9 and grades 10, and then 11th grade is when they could potentially pursue one of these programs through ACL.
And that's as a 9th graders and 10th graders, you want it, or, you know, maybe now as an 8th grader, start getting them the volunteers in that field so they can put that in their resume, so that they'll be able to sell themselves to the academies, why they should be in that class. All right, we just have a few more slides and we'll be done. The next one is activity. How do you get your son and daughter engaged into, besides just school basis? There's other things, opportunities that they can have, athletics, club, and organizations, for our students to get involved. Typically, our 9th graders are very shy, but we try to push them because we have sessions where they can sign in to become in the club. And the big one, typically the most popular one is the National Honor Society, but there's other opportunities that your students can join. And there's again, it's on our website, and you can click into each one. These are our sponsors' names and email, and then they can go in here and find whatever interests them, so they can again gain some knowledge and put that on their resume for academies or college if they're applying for that, or for a job to go into the workforce. Some of the activities we just wanted to get. We have an activities coordinator at Heritage, and she does an amazing job to make sure that our students are engaged. We do.
We have a
club.
fair.
Yeah, we have a fair where they go into each club and find out more about it.
The club fair happens in the fall of every year. So once they've gotten acclimated, then we'll have the club fair, and they can figure out, you know, whether or not they want to be involved in it, and of course in which clubs.
Like for this one, the National American Sign Language Honor Society, again, one of their goal was to make sure that we get a rep to come from Gallaudet, and they're gonna come and speak to our students to that. So that was one of the initiatives, which I thought was really good. And they wanted to make sure that we have a rep for our deaf students. It's really good. And then again, there's a lot of National Honor Society, so any different kinds that you want for your son or daughter. Oh no. Okay. And last but not least, just stay informed. As Ms. Garrett said earlier, one of the things that I do for our parents, but they've got parents because I know our kids don't check their emails, okay? It's quite I used to get offended because, you know, coming from the corporate world, we had to check email, and then I'm like, come to high school, I'm like, you're not checking my email? Do you know how much time I put into this? But it's quite all right now. I'm okay with it. I know the parents appreciate this, and I really get a lot of emails from parents, which I'm very appreciative of. They, you know, we send out weekly emails to the parents, and like Ms. Garrett said, I break it down by grade groups. I typically have one just for seniors, and I have one for freshmen, sophomores. I'm gonna show you our one from last week. So juniors and sophomores. And in here, I'll break it down. Start with the juniors, what's happening at the Career Center. So this is our second lieutenant that's gonna come talk to our students about Air Force. Princeton Review is doing a lot of information about SAT and digital SATs. And then I'll break it down, again, prompt essay writing for our juniors. And then some opportunities. They're looking for anybody that wants to work at INOVA Hospital. And then this is their Youth Career Expo it's going to be at Tuscarora High School. Again, that's for all of 9th graders and up, not just for. And then this is what I was talking about, pre-college summer opportunities. This is what they want. At UVA, if your student's interested in engineering, they can go into this for an open house, and it's free. Let's see. And then there's another one, George Washington, if you want to go into the science field, they're looking for students, typically 15 and up, but then they'll still have that. And then I'll have some of the freshman stuff down at the bottom for you. You can go down and play. This is the free event that we're taking our students to NOVA for a career day. And then we're going to discuss information technology, engineering technology. All those fields are going to be there. And again, we have to get your parents, your information as a parent. There's more information that you can play with it. It's on our website too if you want to see it in there, if you want to stay up to anything. And I give you my business card. If you have any questions, just email me. And I think that's it. So. I said, thank you for your time. I know you guys are busy. I appreciate you being here. If there's any questions, just let us know. Okay? Yes?
I have a
question concerning the electives.
Miss Garrett, that would be you, Miss Langton.
It's a question for the elective. So if they chose one of them, they have to stay with it all the 4 years or just the 9th grade?
You mean the elective pathway? No, that's a very good question. So if your student selects Intro to Business and Marketing, for example, as a freshman elective, they don't have to stay within business and marketing for the rest of high school. Students are required to have the sequential electives before they can graduate. So a sequential elective would be Intro to Business and Marketing, and then maybe Sports Marketing would be the second year, right? The VDOE requires sequential electives in order to meet diploma requirements. But if a student switches out of that elective in freshman year and they get on a different elective track, then they can follow their sequential electives on that different track. Again, we meet with your students every single year to make sure that they are going to be meeting their diploma requirements. And so if we have to steer them in a direction so that they can meet that sequential elective requirement, we do that. But they don't have to stay with the same. Part of the beauty of coming to high school and having so many options is that you get to experiment and you get to explore. And you might discover, just as Ms. Fenkel said, that you pick an elective like veterinary science for one student was not a great choice, and so that student picked something else. But that's what we want students to do. We want students to jump around and to meet their requirements for graduation, but we want students to jump around and find whatever their passion is, and hopefully we can help them do that in high school.
Another question for the Loudon Academy, please.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your son has TV program.
Yeah.
So this under which degree? Because here it says only the main categories, the engineering one or the science one or the math.
Yes, he's under MANA.
How can I know the subtitles under each one? Is it there?
It is.
Yeah, it's in there. You can tell you on the side, tells you which engineering technology.
No, I mean the sub-programs under it.
Oh yeah, when you click on the website, if you want to email, I'll show you the link to the website, and it'll tell you what the subject is and all